Full Rack Buzz Cam.
And thanks for listening to University of Richmond Athletics. We are One Richmond, united in red. It's drive time, and it's time to talk Richmond basketball with head coach Chris Mooney. This is the Spider Sports Line on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5. Live from Joe's Inn Bon Air in the Bon Air Shopping Center. Tonight's show is brought to you by UPS, Joe's Inn Bon Air, home of the Spider Sports Line, Luck Chevrolet, Positive Vibe Cafe, and by CarMax. Be a part of the show. Call 804-622-0950. Out of town, it's toll free. 1-877-994-4950. Or send an email to spidersportsline@richmond.edu. Now, let's go live to Joe's Inn Bon Air. Here's the voice of the Spiders, Bob Black, with Coach Mooney from the Spider IMG Sports Network. Powered by Ace Electric.
Week number 2 of the basketball edition of the Spider Sports Line is live and on the air from Joe's Inn Bon Air in the Bon Air Shopping Center. Welcome, everyone. Bob Black along with Spider head coach Chris Mooney. Got a couple of special player guests coming up in our middle segments today. Our junior transfers, Marshall Wood and TJ Klein, will join us in the middle segments today, and we certainly hope to hear from you and see you. If you're in the area, come on by and join us, have dinner with us, talk some Spider and college basketball, or dial us up. You heard the number a moment ago, 622-0950. Shoot us an email, spidersportsline@richmond.edu. One game for the Spiders this past week. They went through the exam process. Classes had ended and on into final exams, and the one game Saturday night at the Robins Center, 77-59 victory over Longwood. Picks up a little bit for the Spiders this week with the Wednesday game at home against Old Dominion, as finals will be in their rearview mirror here by the time tip-off comes Wednesday night. Chris, how do you think the guys, veteran team that you've got, they've been through this, not their first rodeo, how you think they handled the final exam week, not having games, practices a little bit disjointed, and then just the one game Saturday night?
I really thought they handled it extremely well, Bob. I thought that, we weren't perfect, but on the offense, I thought we really had good energy in terms of our movement, the ball movement, a good understanding, and on defense, I thought, we had great effort. It's such a difficult situation, but I thought our guys handled it really, really well. I thought, if anything, there was a little bit of sloppiness toward the end of the game. But that's, I don't think that's necessarily because of finals. Could be a little bit of something, but as far as handling finals, handling not being able to practice quite as much and be together, I thought we really, really did very, very well, and really proud of how we attacked it.
There was an 8-minute stretch in the first half when Spiders outscored Longwood. I think it was 14-0 and 16-2. How good a stretch of defense was that for your guys? We've talked a lot about the defense having to catch up to the offense at the start of this season.
Yeah, exactly. And most times, I think for most teams, to be honest, it's the other way.
Sure.
And it definitely has been for us. But I thought it was very, very good. I mean, one of the things that I noticed in the game was I thought our conditioning level was very, very high and superior to Longwood's, and I thought during that course of time that showed up a little bit in our favor, and guys off the bench, of course, giving us support, but really us being able to maintain a high pace while they seemed a little bit tired, and we were able to really push the ball, get ourselves going, apply pressure defensively, force turnovers at a pretty high rate, and pull away in the game. So I thought that was part of it. And again, that's a difficult part because obviously the guys are up very late at night and not getting their proper rest, and we're not on our normal schedule. But for the most part, I thought we really handled that well, and I thought our conditioning was a factor.
What type of schedule were you on to get through the finals? I mean, you've been through it now 11 years, but every year is different because final exams are at different times of different days for these guys.
Yeah, so basically the finals, they have 3 slots. They could be 9 to 12, 2 to 5, or 7 to 10 p.m. And so, we don't have any control necessarily of when those finals are taken. So the guys have them when they have them. And we just try to squeeze it in. Wednesday's a reading day, so we practiced on Wednesday. We knew we would do that. We had a bunch of guys with finals on Tuesday and Thursday, so we went a little bit early on Monday after being off Sunday. Middle of the day on Wednesday, got our guys up, have a quick practice with a quick sweat. And then Friday, we kind of did it as routinely as possible. And then to me, it put more emphasis on the shoot around on Saturday. And usually our shoot arounds are good and lively, but we had a little bit more detail to go over the scout, and then we also wanted to make sure we had great energy. And I thought we did all those things and handled those well.
Yeah, I really do, and I think human nature always plays a factor in this. Coaches probably hate that, but I think coaches are for lifetime against human nature. I think human nature always wins, and I think in this case, 2 factors that you did about as well as you possibly could. You've already mentioned the finals, how they handled that. They played really well in the first half, so maybe human nature wasn't that bad. The lead got to where the game was over score-wise in the second half, so that's number one. The other one, you can dance around this if you'd like. We played 4 straight teams in the top 100 RPI, and in fact, probably in the top 75 RPI. Longwood is still a program that's trying to elevate itself. Our guys aren't stupid. They're not dumb. They understand where Longwood was in the RPI. Could there have just been a human nature factor there at all?
Yeah, I think that is true. I do think that's true, and we talked about that. And, one thing I reminded our guys is that, whether it's West Virginia or Florida or Longwood, we're playing against ourselves. We're trying to be the best team we can be. We're trying to make sure that we perform well every time out, and especially in our home games. We want to make sure that we look like a team that make Richmond fans proud, and we that's why we're playing. And so we're not playing against that particular opponent. That's not necessarily important. And so we kind of emphasize the only thing important about that is the scouting report. That they have these particular players with these tendencies, but otherwise it's just about us and making sure that we're playing well, especially the way we're trying to play. But you can't ignore the fact that you're going to be more wide-eyed when you walk into Florida or you're playing against a top 25 team, something like that, versus playing a home game, and that most people would figure that would win, and we did handle that well.
And I would think being a veteran team probably helps that a little bit. I think these guys understand somewhere along the way they probably slipped up. It could have been in a high school game for all we know, but the older guys, and I would include our 2 guys coming on tonight in that category, Marshall and TJ, they understand where there could be traps in college basketball.
Definitely, and we try to remind our guys all the time of all the upsets that happen in college basketball, and just on the first weekend alone, there were just an incredible number of upsets, and they pile up, and the part is that there's so many teams and there's so many games, and the games going all over the country. But part of it is there's a lot of parity, and in a basketball game, when the court's small enough, and there, one player can have just a tremendous impact, whether he's hot or the whistle's not going your way, whatever it is. And then, of course, if the game's close and there begins to be tension on the team that's favored. So you do have to weigh in all those factors, and hopefully your effort can just erase any of those and just be more important than any of those, and you can have great effort from the beginning of the game, and I think we did.
5 guys in double figures. I would think normally the magic number there is 4, and you're feeling pretty good about yourselves. So 5, which I think you've had the last couple of games now, and 2 guys that just missed double-doubles by 1 rebound.
Yeah, I think the balanced scoring is something that is – it's just always difficult just to scout that and to defend that when you have multiple guys scoring. I thought Trey played a great game. Got a couple of threes to fall. Overall was really, really good. He and Terry both missed double-doubles, by narrow margins, but we're close. And I think we battled. I think in the stages where we pulled away in the game, many of their possessions ended in a steal or a clean rebound that we converted in transition. So I think that's a real strength of our team because there is versatility. Guys bring the ball up the court and can attack on offense pretty quickly.
622-0950 is our phone number. You're listening to the Spider Sports Line. We are live at Joe's Inn Bon Air. Quick reminder for you, we are here during the college basketball season. We will be here next Monday night from 5:30 to 6:30. Then we'll take our kind of holiday hiatus. We'll be off for a couple of weeks, and we'll be back after the A-10 schedule actually gets underway in January. So we are here next Monday night, 5:30 to 6:30. Then for the holidays, we'll take a couple-week break, and then after that, we'll be on each and every Monday night. And I will remind you, there is a football radio show again tomorrow at Outback from noon to 1 with head coach Danny Rocco. Their schedule is a little skewed this week as well, but Coach Rocco will be with us tomorrow at Outback from noon to 1 for the football edition of the Spider Sports Line as they get set to play North Dakota State in the national semifinals this coming Friday night. All right, all of that said, let's go to the phones. And again, they're open. Give us a call, 622-0950. Email spidersportsline@richmond.edu. And we do have the live mic here at Joe's Inn. So all of you shy Spider fans who want to ask your question, it's very easy. Coach doesn't bite. I don't think I will either. We'll be glad to answer your questions. We'll pass that microphone around. If you have questions, we'll get the mic to you. Ivan, get us going this evening. Tip it off on the Spider Sports Line.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Coach. How you both doing tonight?
Doing well, Ivan. How are you?
Great. Well, congratulations on a great team victory. What you tell your team, because I know at times when you had a big lead against Longwood, it looked like it got a little sloppy near the end. What did you tell your team afterward?
Well, I told them that we'd prefer not to get sloppy, Ivan. But yeah, I agree. I think a couple of, just, again, Bob said, I think we reached the lead, reached 29 a couple of times, and there's a tendency just to, maybe to try something different or maybe not to move as hard or cut as hard. And I really just wanted to make sure that we played a complete game. I've always subbed pretty early in those kinds of games to get guys as much playing time as possible. But I thought that overall, not just the guys who came in, but the guys who were in the game, we weren't doing a good enough job to close out the game, and just wanted to make sure that you continue to play. And you don't want to do anything that in a situation like that you wouldn't do right at the beginning of an important game, and you just want to have good habits that carry on in a tight game, in a blowout, whatever it is, and just finish the game and play the game as well as possible. I thought we adjusted better and did okay, but they seem to be building a little bit of momentum even though the game was out of reach win-loss wise, and we wanted to make sure that we still played and finished the game until the end.
Exactly. And I was impressed with the way you took a big lead and you just never looked behind you until you never looked behind you. Well, what can you tell us about Old Dominion going into this when you're playing on Wednesday night?
Well, Old Dominion is has been good, long before I got here, and they've been very good since I've been here. They were a top seed also in the NIT last year, and they have a lot of guys back. They have a great point guard named Trey Freeman, who's leads the team in scoring, leads the team in assists, leads the team in just about everything. They play excellent defense. Their defensive numbers are terrific. They hold teams to a very low field goal percentage. Teams don't make a lot of threes. They don't get a lot of wide open shots against them. So, this is a really good team that we're playing in a rivalry game. Team that we've played every single year since we've been here, and we're looking forward to it. But this is a really good, well-coached team that has a lot of really good players.
Good luck, Coach. I hope you come up with a fantastic victory this Wednesday night.
Thanks, Ivan. I appreciate it.
All right, Ivan, thanks. Hey, if you want to scout Old Dominion, Coach Jones's radio show is tonight at 7 o'clock.
Nice.
So if you want, I just happened to be on their website. So if you want to eavesdrop on what Jeff has to say about you and the Spiders, you could tune in to Coach Jones's radio show tonight, because I'm sure on his way to his radio show right now, he's listening to us.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so. Hey, Chip, you're next on the Spider Sports Line, 622-0950, to talk with head coach Chris Mooney. Chip.
Good evening, guys. How are you all?
Doing well, Chip. Thanks. How are you?
I've got a question. I've always thought that maybe December and maybe even stretching back to Thanksgiving is maybe the best times and the worst times for coaches, because once exams are done, you kind of have a team that's unconflicted by having to go to class, and you maybe have their full attention. Yet, my question centers around separation from family. I wanted to ask Chris how Coach Kirill handled that at Princeton, if he did anything, special to deal with that situation, and what do you guys at Richmond do to, what can be kind of a difficult time with kids separating from the family for the first time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one thing is, this particular season we'll actually have a few days at home during Christmas because our schedule dictates that. We'll have a little bit more time than we usually do. But you're right. It is especially for the young guys. It feels like, because now they're here in the summer. They get to go home right before school. Then they're here kind of throughout the whole year, and this feels like a very long time. So we look at the whole. We break down the calendar after we get back from Christmas, and we just look at those 2 or 3 weeks that we're going to be together and see how many meals we'll have together, see how many meals we'll have at our house, when we just give the guys money to go out and have their meals, but try to be together as much as possible. They have, like you said, they have a lot fewer things that they have to do because school's not in session. So we try to have them in the gym as much as we can for, little shooting workouts, and then maybe, a little bit of extra lifting or play pickup or something like that in the gym, and then find as much time as we can where we're together and we have them, all with one another at a meal at one of the coaches' houses or out, and just try to help them by being together as much as we possibly can.
All right, and how did Coach Kirill handle that, Princeton?
One time on Christmas night, we practiced from 7 p.m. till 12:30. That is true, 7 p.m. till 12:30, and when we were done practice, we brought it in, and he said, "Bah humbug."
Coach Scrooge.
That was about how. Now we handled it, I guess, in a similar way. Just being together as much time as possible, because we had guys from all over the country as well. Just being together as much as possible, and trying to make sure that you're enjoying each other's company, working on your game, and being distracted if you can be.
Thanks for the answer. Good luck Wednesday night.
Thanks a lot, Chip.
Good question, Chip. Thanks. We'll take our first time out. TJ Klein and Marshall Wood will join us here at the head table when we come back. Spider Sports Line live from Joe's Inn, Bon Air on ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5, and the Spider IMG Sports Network powered by Ace Electric.
Price on tires with great service? Visit Dyke Tire, your locally owned Tire Pros dealer, for all your car care needs. Our services start with a full line of tires for your car and truck, including Bridgestone and Firestone. Dyke Tire Pros is a proud supporter of the University of Richmond Spiders. For the best deals on Bridgestone and Firestone tires, visit Dyke Tire Pros in Richmond today, online at dyketire.com.
The Richmond Spiders men's basketball team already beat Wake Forest in California this season. Now the Spiders welcome Old Dominion to the Robins Center Wednesday, December 16th at 7 p.m. for a midweek contest. Take advantage of the Cedarfield weeknight ticket special. Only $5 when mentioning the Cedarfield Retirement Community. Get there early for the Virginia State Parks Fun Zone featuring hotshot basketball and video games. And the Virginia Family Dentistry Selfie Booth too. Call now 1-877-SPIDER-1 to order your tickets or visit richmondspiders.com.
To the person who doesn't like to be put on the spot, we don't get why the world needs an instant answer either. Decaf or regular, will you marry me, paper or plastic, it's all just too much. That's why CarMax will appraise your car in about 30 minutes, and our offer is good for a full week. No pressure to make a decision, just walk out the door and sleep on it. Or don't. We'd never pressure you to walk or sleep, and definitely not at the same time. Way too dangerous. CarMax, the bright side of car buying.
Joe's Inn Bon Air is proud to support University of Richmond basketball. Join us Monday evenings during the college basketball season at 5:30 for the live broadcast of the Spider Sports Line, featuring head coach Chris Mooney and player guests. And remember, kids eat free all day, every Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy one free kids meal per paid adult entree or sandwich. Joe's Inn Bon Air is located in the Bon Air Shopping Center at the corner of Buford Road and Forest Hill Avenue, and at joe'sinbonair.com.
It's the best part of Monday. Talking Richmond basketball with Coach Mooney and his special guest. This is the Spider Sports Line, live from Josin Bon Air on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5.
Welcome back to Josin Bon Air. Bob Black with head coach Chris Mooney and our special player guest joining us. Really excited to have TJ Klein and Marshall Wood, our two Spider player guests tonight at Josin Bon Air. We welcome both of them. And actually, we welcome both of them back to the show. TJ has been on each of the last 2 years. Marshall was on last year, even though he wasn't playing. We brought him in here and we talked a little bit about what it was like to have to sit out a year, the NCAA regulations when you transfer. So I'm going to jump right in with Marshall and start with him. So if a year ago, Marshall, we asked you about not playing, let's start by asking you about actually playing. And if there was one guy that was excited for this season to start back in November, I think it was you. What was it like getting back into game competition?
It meant a lot to me, obviously having to sit out a year and a half and just, watch and observe and stuff like that. Some people can take that as, being something difficult and hard, but I think I did a pretty good job of, just making sure that I was doing the right things when I wasn't playing. So when now I'm put into these positions and stuff, I'm ready to play. So
was there ever a point when you thought, man, this is never going to end? When am I ever going to get out of it?
The transfer thing is a long time. So if anybody ever wants to do that, they definitely have to be patient. But I think it really worked out well for me, and I'm happy to be here and just
What was the first game like when you finally got on the court? When Coach looked down the bench and said, "Get in there"?
I've kind of just reminisced to my freshman year, just, going into the game. Because, that period of time is so long, you kind of feel like, you're a brand new player and a brand new person and stuff like that. So, I was excited and a little bit nervous, but, I'm over that now. So, everything should be good.
TJ, did you give him any advice? You had just gone through it the year before on how transfers handled themselves at Richmond and also what the coaches try to do with you during that year that you're sitting out.
Yeah, we talked about it a few times. Just it's a different every college is a different culture, and I think Marshall coming from Tech and me coming from Niagara, Richmond does things a unique way, and we kind of do it our way, or it's our way or the highway, really. So, it's different when you first get here, but you just kind of talk to them. Being in that situation before, I kind of helped them out a little bit.
Chris, is there a set pattern for what you do with your transfers, or is Marshall Wood's year out different than TJ Klein's year out, that kind of thing?
Well, I would actually say that it's probably pretty similar. I think these are the only two transfers we've had in 11 years. But I'd say with the transfers or somebody that's redshirting, we probably do something very similar and just try to get them as much basketball as we can. The hardest thing is they don't have the experience of playing, so we try to get them as much basketball as we can. And actually, you probably play more at practice as someone who's sitting out because you're in the whole time for the scout team. You're getting your reps on offense, you're getting your reps all over the place, and so we try to have workouts during game day and just as much as we can to have them being out there and getting more and more accustomed to doing things that we're going to ask them to do, like handle the ball on the perimeter and shoot three-point shots, all those kinds of things. And these guys handled it both really, really well, and they had major transformations in their bodies, both of them, during the time that they were out, which is an important way to take advantage of that time.
TJ, this team is averaging about 81 points a game, and it's been higher earlier in the year. Why has the offense clicked?
I think it's just because we're playing unselfish basketball. I think that everybody on the team knows, we give up a good shot for a great shot, and I think, especially Chandra, when you have passers, me, Chandra, Terry, willing passes who, if, you're in a double team or anything like that, willing to kick it out and trust the guys. We just have confidence in a lot of our guys.
Describe Terry Allen's start to the season. I made this comment, I think, Coach, to you last week or on one of the pre- or post-game shows. It just seemed like everybody wanted this to be Terry's team this year. This is his final go-around. All due respect to the other seniors, obviously, Dion and Trey, significant contributors as well, but you knew Terry had the talent and you wanted this to be his team, his year.
Yeah, he worked really hard in the off season. He was really pushing a lot of us, through the summer and the preseason. And he's got all the talent in the world. He's aggressive, and he's been so, he's attacked the game so much this year. And I think that's really, set him apart, and he's made him an all A10 guy.
How does he push you guys? Because at least around, broadcasters or media or other folks, he's great to talk to, but he's not Chandra Jones, let's put it that way. He's not that kind of outgoing. How does he push you guys?
Oh, just by his play. I mean, his motor is relentless. He never stops going, and that kind of pushes you. It's either you get beat or you work as hard as he does. So, I mean, I think he pushes us every day just to give it our all, or else he's going to beat us.
How do you feel about your start so far?
I thought I've done a few good things. I think there's a lot of things that I can work on, staying out of foul trouble, playing better on defense. But I think offensively I've done pretty well. I think our offense is moving, in a good flow right now. So I think that I'm just trying to do my part, and I think it's done okay.
Chris, TJ mentioned stay out of foul trouble. Is that kind of at the top of your list with him? Because everything else he just mentioned are things you've talked about as attributes for TJ Klein.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. I think that it's difficult. When they call the game more closely, there's a tendency to have a couple of, what you would call cheap fouls happen. Holding somebody as we get set up on the inbounds play, or on a rebound, there's just a little bit of contact, and the officials have been told to call closely. I think we're in favor of it being called closely, but those little fouls, statistically for the team show up as no big deal, but for one person they show up, and TJ is of course very important, and he's got whistled for those. And I think there's no, we can study the tape, or we can do all the things to try to avoid those, but there's just a way to learn how to not be in as much foul trouble. And I think TJ's doing that, but he needs to be on the floor, and I think he recognizes that, and as much as we can not commit fouls, for a million reasons, but most especially foul trouble. I think it's very important. I think he's gotten better and better at it.
Hey guys, we've asked Coach Mooney the question about how they're calling the game almost every game, and other media members have asked, and fans have asked. I think it's just as interesting to get the perspective of you guys, and are you changing your game at all? Obviously, Marshall, you didn't play last year, but you played 2 years ago, and TJ obviously played last year. I'll start, TJ, with you. Have you noticed a difference, and have you had to adjust your game and your team adjust its game to the way the officials are now calling it?
Yeah, I mean, it's still like in the past years, it's every official kind of has his own style of officiating. So, and kind of just reading that, if they're letting you play more aggressive, that's how you got to play. If they're playing it really tight, you can't do anything to them. So, I think that it's just all still reading the official. The way the officiating crew is going to let you play the game more so than them calling the ticky-tack fouls.
Marshall, is it in your mind when you're out there playing that the game's being called differently, or you just kind of react to when the whistle blows?
I definitely think you just kind of just react and just, like TJ said, just pull up the official and stuff like that. But I think we did a fantastic job in the off season on doing different drills and stuff, because there's always different emphasis that officials tell the coaches, I'm sure. And so we already have an idea about what they're going to call and stuff like that. So they've done a great job preparing us for that. So.
Hey, and this could really apply to both of you, but TJ, since you played last year as well, you know some of these guys now. You know some of these officials. Do you know kind of in the back of your mind their tendencies, that kind of thing? Because you've seen some of these guys now for the last couple of years, or am I making too much out of that?
Well, I mean, as a player, you just try to go out and, you try not to worry about the officials as much as you can. And me being like a main culprit of worrying about the officials, I've tried, recently not to worry about that at all. I'm just kind of like, you'll recognize a familiar face if, you thought you had a bad call or something like that. You liked him for a reason, had a conversation with him, but you try not to really worry about it too much.
I think it's already settling down a little bit. I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing it the same way you are from the other sideline.
Yeah, a little bit. Again, it's hard. Officiating a basketball game is hard, because there's just so much. These guys are so big and strong and fast, and so there's so much contact on the floor, and who caused the contact. It's not an easy game. It's not an easy game to official, and especially in college, there are so many styles of play that you're trying to adjust to. Both officiating and defending. So. I'm not sure what the exact thing is, but I do think they need to make sure that, at the end result needs to be that the game is fluid, and that the basketball players' ability are what's showing up, and not just teams that are, just chucking cutters and being overly physical. That kind of play shouldn't be rewarded. At the end of the day, it should be the teams that can, dribble, pass, shoot, play together, and be tough, but not necessarily a team that's just out there being super physical.
One more question.
In the nation this year,
Northern Iowa, all places you're going to be again before this season is over. Home, away, and at the end of the year, neutral.
Right, yeah. Like you said, it just feels good to be able just to do the stuff you do in practice and be able to really do it in the games and stuff like that. And I think we have a confidence in it, as an inner group and stuff, to know that it doesn't matter what we're playing. We're going to be focused and ready to play our game of basketball and play our brand of basketball.
Let's talk more about that when we take a timeout. We'll come back with TJ Klein and Marshall Wood, our special player guest tonight. You're listening to the Spider Sports Line live from Joe's Inn, Bon Air on the Spider IMG Sports Network. We are powered by Ace Electric.
100 years is a long time, and Luck Chevrolet is celebrating their 100-year anniversary.